there's a fuel crisis in Guinea where he's based. So last minute he informed us he can't join, but we are not sad because we're here with Lenka from Female Algorithm. She was one of our participants in the Boost Women Innovators program in 2022. And she's also a grantee and has done a lot since graduation. I'm very happy to welcome you to the first session. We are keen to learn about what you've been up to, both with the organization and for you personally within your role, let's say. And before we get into that, I just wanted to kind of mention a few things about the alumni network in case you haven't heard. So the Unplugged session is the first kind of initiative that we do for the network. We have about 400 organizations being SMEs, startuppers, NGOs, and we want to continue to be in contact and leverage the fact that you're out there, you're doing things, you have expertise, you learn as you go. We see you as a resource, and we hope that we can be that connector, both between the two of you, or you're not two, but between the 400 of you, and also to facilitate connection with experts from UNDP and elsewhere, and also investors. So the Boost Unplugged is more of a candid series of conversations, but we're also planning some other events going forward, pitch trainings, pitch sessions with investors. We're also building an online platform for mentorship, where you hopefully will be able to select a mentor and start getting, tailored feedback on your business models or what else you're working on. So more to come around that, but the first thing is Boost Unplugged. Great. If you have questions, feel free to put it in the Q&A. Let's see if I can figure this out. This is the first time for me as well. People are writing. Feel free to use the Q&A or the chat to communicate. If you have specific questions, put them there and I will channel them to Lenka. That was a lot of information. I'm done, I promise. From now on, I will only be asking questions. So perhaps without further ado, Lenka, welcome. Maybe you can start by telling us a little bit about who you are, what Female Algorithm is about, and why you decided to fund it.
Thank you very much, Louise, for the introduction, and also hello to all my fellow social entrepreneurs and participants of Boost program. It's been an incredible journey, but we will get to that. Just to introduce myself and the organization I represent, Female Algorithm is an NGO based in Slovakia. Our vision is to unlock the career potential of women in technology and management. And we do it through activities like education, networking, raising awareness, motivation, etc. And we have also 3 sub-brands as we identified the needs of our target group. We run in Slovakia the Inspiring Girls chapter, which is a global organization, but they are spreading across the world, and its aim is to motivate girls to aim high and to introduce local successful female role models to girls and boys as well. Then we also cover another global brand and its chapter in Slovakia called Lean In, which is a great tool because the main activity there is circles, which is a great tool for women to support each other, work on their career development together. And it's something I think women have to learn to support each other, not to compete all the time. And Skilloria is our fresh brand, which is or comes from a need to raise awareness and remove the barriers women or other underrepresented groups in the job market face about diversity and inclusion. So that's one stream of our NGO that is social entrepreneurship or is commercial, and it gives us a little bit of balance in a cash flow as well. So that's very short what we do.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different directions, and obviously this doesn't happen overnight. So I'm kind of curious, and I'm sure others are. So you participated in the Boost program 2022. Um, what was the motivation really to start to enter an acceleration program? Because traditionally maybe NGOs don't really see acceleration programs and business model as the way, or revenue models as the way forward.
Yeah, so we were founded in 2020, after 1.5 years of just volunteering. And so we were quite a new organization, and we felt that we need to move on. Now we are a team of 26, and most of us have worked in commercial sectors. So nonprofit sector was new to us. And we felt an opportunity in networking with international organizations from all around the world or Europe, and see what they face and maybe learn from them, as well as maybe share what we have learned. And it really boosted us massively.
Yeah.
Also your support. So the motivation behind really to learn, and it really spread. Everything we know and the experience we gained is just really valuable.
So how do you feel that the program, like, how did it influence the work that you've been doing or the directions that you took? I know in your particular case, we were quite, we were like, you should think about Ukrainian refugees. There's this crisis.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Yeah, it was exactly that time. And so I don't know where to start, actually, because it was so many things I wanted to say. And I would probably start with that. We started with passion, but I think we lacked strategy a little bit. So we did everything we felt is needed. And thanks to Boost, we had time to refine our vision and mission and business model, something like that. In a nonprofit is needed. That was our question. We realized it is, and that was a great learning. And it all happened in a time when the conflict in Ukraine started, and we really felt like, okay, we had a vision, and it still was our vision, but how we can deviate a little bit or pivot to meet the needs or to really help those who are in need now around us. And because we are in a city which is very close to Ukrainian border, we physically tried to help Ukrainian refugees flooding through Slovakia. Some of them stayed here, some of them were just passing through. But slowly a community of women from Ukraine was built here, and we wanted to help them. And that's how the project you supported helped us to make it true.
That's great. And Lenka and I, we've had several conversations, and one thing that I find so interesting, and also something that I hope will influence other social entrepreneurs, or whatever you want to call yourself, is your vision around organizational development, innovation, and the role of innovation. It's been 1.5 years since you graduated. You recently made a huge announcement about some big changes that you're going to do personally. Do you want to share the journey you've taken and without disclosing what it is that you've done, maybe it's up to you to announce it. But maybe you can talk a little bit about that journey and why you are taking on a new role within the organization.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I would get back to the beginning, because it was a long time decision or progress. But so what happened was that after 3 years of me being the co-founder and CEO, I realized last year I found finally a person ready to take the role of the CEO, and I realized to step down from that CEO role and take a Chief Innovations Officer role, because I see that this is where the growth in our organization should go, through building new leaders around myself. And that's also maybe one of the, it's a philosophy I actually believe, that you expand as you allow other people to grow around yourself. And now it's been a month since it was announced, and I have to say that I see the results, because getting rid of the operations, I have so much more space for innovations, for expanding even the business development. We'll talk about it later, because it was exactly the BOOST program which supported us to maybe think out of the box, not just in that non-profit box, but think about which of the services we can take out and create a company which can bring a commercial profit, and this can also get back at some point to the NGO and support it and balance the cash flow. So besides many other things we can talk about, we learned during the BOOST program that was one of the main things, and it was a long-term process. I have to say that even 2-3 years ago, I was thinking about who is the potential successor. So I think that the succession plan in any organization is very important. Although we see so many organizations when there is a CEO for 10 years and is holding that position like a holy grail. But I don't think that, I mean, I don't want to judge anyone, but personally, what works for me is to let it go, and something bigger will come as you build it. So, and something else for someone else, that CEO role can be such a great impulse to grow and to do maybe things better than you or me. And it again unlocked some other potential I can use and bring to the society or to the company or organizations.
I find this so inspirational, because I mean, I really hear you. When handing over the responsibility to someone else, it also gives, an opportunity for your work to be criticized, right? Someone takes a different direction. It can be scary, and I think it takes a true leader and someone who really believes in the organization to take these types of to start this type of journey. What has the response been within the organization? Susanna, who's taking over, she was also part of the BOOST program. Was this something that you and her have been talking about for a long time? How did the other colleagues react? You said you're 26. Are you 26 now? People in the organization?
Yeah,
it's a lot of people. So
internally, I think it was a very slow process because Susanna joined us as a financial manager. Then I asked her to take over the role of a program manager, so she got that bigger scope of things she was responsible for. And I saw how she proceeds, and it was amazing. So it was very natural trajectory of her career and my escape. Although I'm not escaping my organization, but it also gave me some freedom, as I mentioned already. But for the team, because she was taking care of finance at the beginning, then took on the people management role and project or program management role. It was very natural. So they were actually clapping in December when we announced it internally. Nobody was surprised, I think. And people who are surprised are usually from the outside of the organization. I get questions whether I'm pregnant again, or whether I got another job because I'm tired of working in non-profit, or it's suspicious, yeah, because it's not happening every day. But I would encourage everyone that it's a very great way to progress personally, and it's something I'm proud of. One of the things I'm probably proudest of, to build an organization that is viable and able to function and grow with me a little bit in the background. So
Right.
I think that's good.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think every organization needs to have this type of a conversation, right? I think even within the Boost team, every program we run is different. We work with different stakeholders. We work in different geographies. The innovation challenges or the solutions we're looking for are different. And even then, we often stop and we say, should we be doing this? Or is it time for someone else to do this? Maybe there are already actors out there. What can we do that's new and innovative, where we really play, that role of changing or advancing or transforming a system? And it's scary because you're good at something, you've been doing it for a long time, you have the tools to be successful in that. But I mean, for anyone working on innovative solutions, you always need to ask yourself, am I playing the right role right now? Should I hand it over to someone else? Should I be spending more time investing and exploring new ways? I'm talking a lot, so I'm wondering actually if anyone from the audience would like to come in and ask any questions. You haven't posted in the Q&A, but you can raise your hands or write it in the Q&A. If you would really like to, I can also unmute you.
Louise, you are absolutely not talking a lot.
I mean, I'm here to also listen and not because I happen to be one of these people with lots of questions, which is a blessing and a curse sometimes, but mostly a blessing, I would say. Curiosity, I think, takes you a long way when you work with innovation. So I don't see any questions. Feel free to post as we go. I don't know, Lenka, if you had something else to follow up on that. I obviously do have another question, but I can keep it related.
I have tons of them, but I just want to talk about things that might bring the value to the audience. Yeah. So maybe one thing I realized when it is needed to build a successor was as our revenue grew, and also, I have 2 kids. They're quite small, and the life is very unexpected in some way. I can't be 100% committed to anything because, I have also the kids, and, they can get ill and everything. And they sometimes but it was probably the responsibility for not being the single point of failure. So building something big, you have to make sure that there are people you cannot just delegate on, but also who can take over your work for some time. For example, when you need to be off, when you are not available. And that was probably that feeling of freedom I felt when I didn't feel like a single point of failure, that if I'm not available or something happens, that a big organization with big commitments towards grants and projects. We have delivered about 45 grant projects, so we are pretty active. And I didn't want to be the only one person. If something happens, God forbid, that things will, just stop and end. So that was another motivation. And another motivation, I think, was the agility, the agile mindset. I come from the tech background, so I've been working 14 years in tech companies, and I think that was the agile mindset I gathered throughout my work in agile companies or teams, that you need to embrace change. I just can't live without change now. It's a terrible thing or great thing. I don't know, as you said, with the number of questions, whether it is a blessing or not. But I think embracing change is something that drives us forward, especially today in that dynamic times. That we have to not be prepared for the change, we have to drive the change. So even the team members are not bored, and they also have to see the way or their career path, even in an organization that is not big. And in non-profit, you can imagine that we don't have super great salaries, but also growing into position you are not totally ready for is a very good motivation. So that were other elements of motivation for me to do those things.
Yeah, I love it. And I mean, I think if you move into a position that you're 100% comfortable in, it's probably not the right position for you, right? It's always about, at least, I mean, it depends on what you're motivated about and what stage in your career or life you're at. Sometimes, obviously, it's okay to do something that's not super challenging. Maybe you want to focus on your private life, but personally, you know, if you step in position when there are a few things that you've never done before, it gives you a lot of energy and I think opportunity to grow. So you know, seeing the the CEO doing something like that, I think also will encourage other colleagues in your organization and organizations you work with to think in a similar way. Before we wrap up, I actually wanted to share something because we at UNDP Boost, we've had a bit of also a strategy session last week in Istanbul. And together with a bigger innovation team, we came up with a strategy which is not original, but for us, it's a bit new. So it's the 70-20-10. 70%, you know, we continue doing things the way that we've been doing. We deliver on the commitments we've made. 20% are, you know, slightly different. We test, but 10% of our time and effort, you know, you go bananas. You think about completely new things that you never would have done before. And for me, I mean, if you can engage and embrace that in a whole organization, imagine what you can achieve. Because, you know, you can't spend 90% doing crazy things, but 10% perhaps, right? But, and if you have that as part of your DNA, I think you can achieve a lot.
Absolutely,
Great.
absolutely. On the other hand, Louise, I don't know if any organization can afford that, because who will pay for that?
Of course,
So,
of course. And to be honest, I mean, yeah, we are an innovation team, which basically means that this is our role, and you can't. I mean, it's clearly not the case that a finance or operations team will spend lots of time just doing nuts things. But what we realize as well is it's not about us doing it. You know, if you do it together and you bring in the expertise from different teams, you can achieve a lot with very little effort. Coordination, of course, is an issue. I'm not saying that this is easy, but at least have a motivation to think differently. Dare to question what you're doing can be a really good starting point. And I think if you get people motivated and excited, that, you know, it's a really good starting point as well for change.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I didn't want to say that it's not a suitable model for organizations. I think it's the best, although it needs to be treated as an investment.
It's a luxury. It's a luxury to be able to have that.
It's
for
an
sure.
investment because you will see the benefits, but not maybe next month, but in the long term.
No, the long-term commitment for sure.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, what helped us to maybe encourage that experimental mode was the sphere of letting people fail. I think I was very much influenced by Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, and she said in one interview that their father, she has a brother, I think, asked them every evening before dinner what they failed in. Not what was their successful thing they achieved that day, but what was the fail. And he was sad when they didn't have anything to say, because he told them that through fails only they're learning. And I took this as one of the building blocks of our organization. And I get the feedback from the team that sometimes they experiment and go behind or outside of the box just because they know they won't be punished for failure. And that's a very good mindset.
It is, but I think again, you need an organization that encourages that, and where you don't see it as a failure, but an opportunity to learn, right? Absolutely. And I think this is really again about the DNA of your organization. We really try a lot within our team. Learning is, you know, equally important as success. Because without the learnings, you will never be able to push the boundaries and do something new. And it doesn't even have to be your learning, right? You can learn from others and together with others. I think that's once again, you know, just to showcase the importance of collaboration. And I hope that this is what the alumni network can be, an area where we learn together. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna now take the opportunity to just ask you one last question, and it's a question that hopefully well, you have thought about it, I hope. But if you look back at yourself and female algorithm, like when you entered the Boost Acceleration program, what would you have told yourself that you know now, but you didn't know when you entered? Any recommendation or any advice that you would have given yourself, knowing what you know
Yeah,
today?
it is very subjective though, so I don't know if many people will relate to that, but I would tell myself, don't beat yourself so much, and enjoy the journey, not just, looking forward to reaching the goal, but enjoy the journey, be happy, be grateful for where are you now. Because sometimes I also got a feedback from the team that I'm never satisfied. It's sometimes a trigger for me to go beyond, but sometimes it's very destructive setup just to be, always in that position of not good enough. There is still so many things to achieve. So I would say myself, enjoy the journey, don't beat yourself. And I think that's the way how also all the founders develop their characters. And I have one book recommendation as a big bookworm I am, from Adam Grant. Maybe you've heard about his new book, Hidden Potential. He's talking
Hidden
about
potential.
Hidden Potential, totally great, a game-changing book for me. And he was telling about the traditional view on skills as soft skills and hard skills. But he says now the soft skills, you can also split to soft skills as, communication, negotiation, etc., but also character skills. And there is a study behind that for business founders or organization founders, startup founders. They progressed much more when they were developing their character skills, like disciplined, work hard, hardworking person, and other things that are our character. This is probably the most important thing. And I would say my character was really, really built through last 3 years. And founding an organization is an experience you won't get from any other employer. It's something you have to decide, set it up, and it's a
And
very
do,
valuable and do
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So take a look at that book. For me, so many motivational, inspirational things based on facts. So that's one tip at the end.
Great. I actually see we have one more question, so I'm going to take advantage of the fact that no one's stopping me. So Yevgen is wondering, from your interaction with many people, what are the key emerging issues that you sense? Things that will become much bigger going forward. In other words, what are you the most hopeful about in your field of work, and what are you most concerned about?
It's a
Difficult question.
It's a difficult question, because my field of work as a nonprofit focused on gender equality or supporting unrepresented groups doesn't have a good environment in my country, because after the election the government has changed. Their attitude towards NGO sector is very negative, and we are perceived as disruptors of the society rather than people who actually sacrifice their good salaries and jobs to help society. So there's another barrier we have to overcome, makes us stronger. And I think that's one thing I hope that at the end we will leave as winners, because people will see the impact. But I think it's important for every NGO to really focus on their impact, not just the activity, and to think about how people perceive my work. Do they benefit from it? How do I measure it? How do I communicate my impact to the society, to the public? Because in these days when we have so many information and so many hoaxes in the social media, people don't know. They don't know about our impact, they don't know about our organization when we don't communicate. And as those hoaxes are louder, I think it's our responsibility to make our voice loud enough to you know, protect our work and what we do. So that's my hope. And
Thank you
it's
so
very
much
local.
for sharing that.
It's very local. I don't know how it is in other parts of the world, how NGOs are perceived, or social entrepreneurs, or what's the environment for startups, but let's not be discouraged.
Yeah, and I mean, you are not alone to feel this. I think in our region overall, with conflict and you know, people is money is not as easily accessible. There's just so much competition these days. So I feel you're not alone in this, and I think you know, if you have other insights, and maybe if others are interested in discussing this, you know, how do you remain that kind of positive outlook, and how do you keep on going in a climate where you feel that not everyone is appreciating what you do? You know, maybe this is something that we could look into further within the alumni network, because you're clearly not alone. It's happening all around the world, and we've heard this from many different types of organizations.
Yeah, and
So,
that's why alumni group
yeah.
or alumni network is really, really beneficial, because then you feel you're not alone, then you can learn from the others and you feel that support. And sometimes even feeling that support gives you strength in hard times. So thank you for doing this, Luis and the team. And thank you for inviting me today again.
Thank you for thank you for coming. We are so happy to have had you on the first session of Boost Unplugged. Since I don't see any other questions, I will take the opportunity to thanks everyone for joining, and we will be back in about a month with a new session on impact investment. So check out that, and see you soon. Bye.
You take care. Bye.